Wild Boar is here on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. I mean, talk to me about the year that you've had sort of coming back to the British Indies and how it's been for you to start. Because we always ask our guests to start off with about sort of like the last 12 months. It's been a bit of a busy one for you. It's fair to say you've been up to quite a lot.
Yeah, the last 12 months, well, a lot has happened in the last 12 months. I got released. I hurt my arm. Came back from hurting my arm. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing now, and I've been relatively busy now since coming back from the injury to my arm.
Yeah. We don't talk a huge amount about things like NXT UK and stuff on this podcast. We like to keep it indie, but in terms of returning to like solely the indies, how was that in terms of sort of like the reactions you got and the vibe of it? And because the landscape's very different to sort of when you signed for NXT UK.
Yeah, it is very different. I mean, like, obviously I've kind of been following it. Like I've never stopped like taking training sessions ever since I've been under contract. So anyone who's come up from Wales, I've kind of worked with a lot. And obviously I'm like very close mates with like people like Brendan White and Danny Jones, or like, and Nico Angelo, were like top names on the scene at the minute. So I'm obviously following their stuff, and I've been keeping track of them. So I'm kind of, I'm not like, when I came back into it, it wasn't like I don't know what I'm getting myself into. It was like I kind of know what's happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to segue a little bit because I had this to ask you later, but you mentioned Nico. Are you and Nico still friends? Because, I mean, after what happened at Attack, at their return, I mean, are you still friends now? What happened there?
Well, I mean, he, I did what I had to do. That's on him, really. Whatever he thinks is whatever, but I had to do what I had to do, and I did it. And I'm the Attack champion, so...
That's the main thing, isn't it?
That did work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key thing, isn't it? You got the belt now, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
So how did that all come about with Lycleston then? How did you end up recruiting them to sort of help you out in that regard?
Well, just spoke and realised our interests were kind of similar, and put a plan together, and I did it.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been, or you can tell in the crowd's reaction, it's heartbreaking for them. Like, I mean, how does that feel for you? The crowd is so on Nico's side with it, seemingly.
I don't really care. I don't really care.
It's all about the gold. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Love it. But talk to me about Attack, because Attack obviously returned over the last couple of months as well. Mark Andrews playing a huge part in that as well. And like, talk to me about how good it is to have Attack back and what those shows were like, those first shows, because from what I've seen clips of it and stuff that people have put on Twitter, it seems like the crowd was loving it. It was electric, and like, it just seems like everyone was so happy to have Attack back.
Yeah, I just feel like people like that familiar place to kind of go and spend your time watching wrestling, and I feel like Attack spent so many years building up that good fan base and that good relationship with fans, and gave fans so many memories over the last couple of years. I say last couple of years, over the last, I think it could be about 10 years that it might have been going. I might be wrong. It was around that time. It was a long time anyway, but they gave the fans so many memorable moments that I think, like, from the fans' point of view, it's nice that they have that place back that they can kind of look forward to more potential memories down the line.
Yeah.
With newer guys now. Obviously, some people moved on, but there's newer guys coming up, like Nico Angelo's, like your James Ellis, Splits McPinn's new sister. I say new sister, newly wrestling sister, because they've always been brother and sister, obviously.
Yeah. No, it's an important distinction to make, because those are two very different things.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you mentioned that, and like, again, because the crowd just seemed wild for those shows, and like, it seemed like it was great to have Attack back, and as well, like someone like Mark being involved with it as well, like it's and for you guys as well, obviously yourself and Flash so involved at Chaos as well. Yeah. I mean, how important is that for you guys? Because I know you're all quite close. How important is that for you guys to sort of almost be like giving back to the indie scene in that way by sort of like taking over these companies, helping them survive essentially, and putting your hard work and effort into sort of making them thrive now?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important, to be honest. Like we've been lucky enough to enjoy like pretty decent independent wrestling careers, done some really cool stuff, and like I mentioned earlier, like we're all involved in and have been involved kind of since we've started wrestling in training is a fundamental factor of being a professional wrestler, right? Mm. So you naturally just attend wrestling training on a regular basis. And then when you've been doing it for so long, you just organically transition into that trainer role. So we've been training people for like more or less however long we've been wrestling, to be honest with you. So that to go one step further, and with me and Flash running Chaos, Mark running Attack, me and Flash having roles within Attack, it's really cool, and I think very important that you give younger talent the opportunities that we were afforded. Like Dave, Nick and Bobby, who used to run at Chaos, for example, really invested a lot of time and effort in me and Flash as two big examples, and really helped us develop. Attack did the same with Mark, Chris Brooks, Pete, who were running it, and they really helped us there as well. So these two promotions in particular, for me, I feel are very important in helping to further young wrestlers' careers.
And you mentioned, because obviously like you've been involved in like training schools and stuff as well, but in terms of running a promotion, like was that, as someone who's again had such a great indie career, was getting into running a promotion different to how you perceived it was going to be like before you started? Do you know what I mean? Was it a big, almost like a culture shock of like, oh, like maybe I didn't realize like how much work goes into it, or like I didn't realize like this part I hadn't even thought about?
Honestly, I used to run Dragon Pro, which was a training school, and we did shows. Now the shows with Dragon Pro they were meant to be trainee shows for younger talent, and they kind of morphed into something else, to be honest. Like when we were running the Newport and the Neon, our goal was just to get people in to watch the newer talent, and then we ended up having people like Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov, and all these people on the shows because I know them, I'm friends with them, right? So I had the contacts there to bring them in and get them to wrestle people like Brendan, Harrison Bennett, and then the kind of shows kind of blew up. So when we were expecting to get 100 people in, we were drawing like 350 people into these shows. So these shows I wasn't going out my way to become a promoter. I just ended up helping to run these shows with another friend of mine who helped out with the administration aspect of it. So I kind of had a lot of experience with it. I ran Dragon Pro for 6-7 years. So I kind of had that amount of time previous to Chaos with getting used to running shows too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a culture shock. I knew it was going to be, I know the days can be stress. So I kind of knew what I was getting into in that regard. And I feel like I was kind of able to kind of warn Flash, ironically, who is literally calling me right now.
That's fine, you can answer it if you want. Really, like, you can answer it if you need to.
No, you're right, I'll start again later.
Well, no, I was going to say, because that's something as well, like, in terms of maybe also a culture shock. Not maybe culture shock's not the right word, but in terms of, like, with Dragon Pro, being like, oh, like, I'm running it as this, and it's going to be all about, like, this new talent, and it suddenly morphs, like you say, into something a lot bigger. Like, is that something that sort of takes you aback at first? You sort of almost have to roll with and, like, adapt to, because you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, to be honest. I mean, all I was thinking at the time, to be honest, was, this is great. We got more people coming in. We got more money to do more shows. We got more money to bring people in. Like we had the vets down, for example, that we could put on these. Our idea was that we put on marquee matches that people are familiar with, and then we'll put the younger talent on the card too. So they might come for this main event, as an example, but they'll stay for, at the time, your people like Brendan White, your people like Nico Angelo, your people like Harrison Bennett, Dan Jones, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, how important is that? Like, because we had a few months ago, we had Dan Reed, who obviously runs Eve, on the podcast, and he was talking about how, especially when they do sort of like almost like trainee shows, like the smaller shows, he is a big fan of putting the up-and-coming talent against the bigger names, purely for the fact that way they're in the ring with someone more experienced. You're not necessarily just putting two sort of, you know, greener talent together, where I guess the way you put it across is like there's more jeopardy in that. There's more potential that something could go wrong because they're both a bit fresher. And so by putting them against someone more experienced, you're giving them that opportunity to learn more as they're going through it as well.
Yeah, well, it's putting newer guys with more experienced guys, that will, not only will it make sure the match goes like you would like it to go, but you also bring the younger talent on then, because they are learning. And the best way to learn when you get to a certain level of being trained, the next step is to just wrestle. And you can't, the best way to do that is to just do it. And there's no better way of doing it than being in there with people who are a lot more talented and a lot more experienced than you are. And I can speak from experience. I definitely learned, you know, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of wrestling you can learn from working very, very good and not so good people. But, you know, it definitely benefits to work with people who have been around longer than you.
Sure. And I know this is a bit of a loaded question, it's a bit of a weird question, but like, I know everyone's different in terms of their wrestling journey, but as someone who like trains wrestlers, when you're looking at these names coming through, what does someone have to show you sort of in training? Like what is like almost not necessarily the minimum, but what someone had to have shown you in training for you to think like, okay, they're ready to do it in the ring properly?
They have to be able to kind of show they need to be able to keep themselves safe is first and foremost, I think, for me. Basics, learning how to fall, learning how to interact with the wrestling ring, you know, how to do certain things in a wrestling ring, get in and out safely, perform basic techniques like your power moves, certain technical aspects. Tumbling, rolling is very important because you have to be able to keep yourself safe. You have to have that body control, pardon me, to not only keep yourself safe but keep your opponent safe to an extent, right? And that's what I look for. It's not that, and that's what I think should be the required. And people look for different things to represent those different things. You know, differently with people, but as long as there's some form of aspect of keeping yourself safe, your opponent safe, and kind of having a good understanding of what the hell you're meant to be doing. Yeah. You know?
No, absolutely. And we mentioned Chaos. We're talking off the back of the last Chaos show, which is just a couple of days ago at the time of recording. I mean, how did that show go? And like Chaos, again, one of the promotions that since wrestling returned after the pandemic just seems to have been on such a rise. Like, it seems to have gone from this, not necessarily like unknown promotion, but like very well known in its local area to like, oh, this is like fastly becoming one of the best promotions in the country.
I appreciate you saying that, but yeah, that's that was our goal. Chaos has always, was not always, but Chaos built a incredibly strong fan base in the local area. And we have an incredibly supportive fan base of regular people who come to every single show and are fully invested in what we do and what the performers do. And those guys help build what we are doing. You know, they helped build it before the pandemic, and they're continuing to help build it now. You know, whenever they talk about it, they spread the good word of what we're doing and put over everything that we do. And then obviously you've got the talent that are just killing it. like the show on the weekend, just to go into it, like it was by far the best show we've done. It was the best show. It was the biggest show. Like everyone understood what was needed. We finished some things off, started some new things. Gave the crowd a bit of a spectacle, and I am feeling that today. I'm a little bit like as I speak, and that's because I am absolutely battered. but it's worth it because the crowd were cracking from start to finish, and we're loving it right now.
Yeah, and that's cool to see, and that's great to see. And again, like, big up you guys because you're doing great work. And you mentioned sort of some new things, some rising stars as well. I mean, we got to talk about Dani Luna first, right? Huge title change. That pop was insane. Like, I saw a clip of that online. It was crazy. That
was the biggest pop of the night by far.
Easily, but it was so good, and so good for her as well because, again, like, as someone who's been through so much the last sort of 12 months and even before that as well. Like, to get that moment, just so delighted for her.
Oh, yeah. And she deserves it, She deserves it. Like, so, for me, the belt she won was the Dragon Pro belt, right? Before Dragon Pro closed down and we stopped doing shows, Brendan White had the All Wales title. And the idea going forward was that she was going to take it eventually, but that was, just to go into it, that was the idea.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we can continue on the lineage of what I wanted, to be honest, because I knew, like, realistically, everyone who's had that belt has deserved it, and it's because they have been the best at one point or another.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the level in Wales right now is the highest it's ever been, right? So everyone is literally doing this. So it's really hard to kind of say, okay, you have the belt, you're the best now. You can't really do that. However, I can say that Dani Luna is, in my opinion, the best women's wrestler in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge praise. And, like, again, like, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, she's definitely up there. And as well, like, winning that belt that, again, because obviously you had it at Dragon Pro, I guess means that bit much more to you. Must mean, like, that bit much more to her, the fact that you put your faith in her to take it.
Well, I couldn't speak for her, but I know that would be nice.
Yeah. And you mentioned, let's mention, obviously, again, Dani's someone incredible wrestler, someone who has, I think, the potential to be one of the best women's wrestlers in Europe, who spoke so highly of you guys when we had her on the show, is Rain Leverkusen.
Oh my God,
and
yes.
She is smashing it at the minute.
She is, and I mean this in the best way possible, a freak. Like, I don't believe she's been having matches for a year yet.
Yeah,
and
it's
she's
not
already doing tours of Japan. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, wow! Like, she honestly, she's very, very good. She's been killing it at Chaos. Wherever she does, and she wrestled at the Attack Weekender. And she had this match with Emerson Jane, where Emerson Jane is also a fantastic wrestler.
Oh, severely underrated.
No regard for her self-well-being. Yeah. She is a lunatic. And again, I mean that in the best way. But her and Rain had a fantastic match. Like, to the point where it was a sellout at the monitor backstage. Like, the entire roster was watching this match. Like, it started off with a couple of us. And then, because we were all, like, gasping, like, audibly gasping at what they were doing, then people would come over and be like, what the hell who's on? What's happening? And then they'd stand there. And by the time they both come back, the entire locker room was, like, stood by this monitor. And as they both came back, just give them a round of applause, like, and then checked if they were okay.
I love that. I mean, like, again, like, Emerson as well, someone who, again, we hear about, like, because of where she wrestles, mainly we hear about her from, like, Eve talent, from people that work at Eve a lot. But, like, again, someone who's just so clinically underrated as a wrestler, I think, in this country. Like, clearly one of the best in the country, if not, again, like, Europe. And she just
exactly, 100%.
always puts on killer matches.
Yeah, like I said, the way she moves and can control her body, like, she's so snappy with her execution is just is mad, is awesome to watch.
Yeah, she's not afraid to put it all on the line as well. Like,
no,
literally every part of her body, just like...
No, I really do recommend watching that match with Rain.
Yeah, cracking match.
Be prepared.
Cracking match, absolutely. And again, as someone... we'll talk about... Actually, we'll go back to Chaos first for a bit, because again, you mentioned the fact that last weekend was your biggest show as well. And almost like, again, like going back to Dragon Pro and stuff, like almost like that. Do you feel that? Can you feel that, like, that something's building there with Chaos? Like, you know, the shows are getting bigger, the crowds are getting bigger. And can you feel that while you're working sort of like month to month in terms of taking that step back and being able to appreciate what's happening?
Yeah, you can, to be honest. You can, like, me and Flash were talking today about the, after the weekend, the social media traction. Obviously, you can't, for Chaos, it's never been a big social media promotion, you know what I mean? It's not like your ones that are always talked about. Like, the fans come away and they love it, but it's never, you never see that reflected on social media interaction. But over this past weekend, there was a clear rise in social media interaction with people saying, people coming further afield from like London who were like saying, "Oh, I need to come down to a Chaos show," which is really cool for us to see, because obviously we want to. Like, we believe we have some really good ideas, and we know that the talent we use are absolutely killing it and really like put so much effort in to whatever they do. And for us, we feel like we really do owe it to them to make sure as many people see what they are doing as possible. Tate Mayfair's, for example, is a little shit, but he is fantastic, and he's been doing some mad good stuff at Chaos. And there was one comment that I saw on Twitter where it was like, Tate watching, this is from over the weekend, watching Tate at Chaos is the best Tate Mayfair's I've seen anyway. And he's quite busy, right? He's all over the place.
Yeah.
So for us to see that is real cool, and that it kind of says that we're on the right track to doing something right by him.
Yeah.
And he deserves it, you know.
Like for sure.
He's a shit as he is, he deserves it.
like you say, he's a twat, but you can't deny the talent. You can't deny the talent.
No, you can't.
But that's cool as well. Like you mentioned, like people like coming from London, because I think that's the thing, isn't it? People normally think, oh, I'll go to London for a show because there's so much wrestling in London. But like that's, I think, when you know you're on the right track, when that's like that script is flipped, right? When people are coming from London to see you, when you're a bit more out the way from the capital, that's the sign that you're doing something right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I love that, and that's great to see. And while we're on the subject of Chaos, that leads us on to our first little feature, which I think you'd be able to answer very nicely, because it's called Dishing the Dirt. And
okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to tell me which member of the Chaos locker room best describes those things.
Okay.
So, apart from, I assume maybe like yourself and Flash, in terms of like maybe getting there to set up the show, who's always the earliest? Who's always the first wrestler on the call sheet to walk through the doors?
Honestly, it actually varies.
Really?
Honestly, it genuinely varies, and also that's a very hard question to answer when you're running around like elder statesmen.
Yeah, I suppose that is true.
Not really. All I can say is what I can say is I came through from backstage one time. They were setting up the ring, and I'd never met Rain prior to this. Like I knew, obviously we booked her, so I knew who she was, but I'd never met her in person. And obviously she looks like, in real life, she looks different from her wrestling. Yeah. The way she looks when she's wrestling. And I didn't recognise that was her setting the ring up. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she came up and introduced her. I was like, oh, shit, you know, okay. Yeah, so she was there when the ring turned up, you know. And we don't normally ask that, because we normally have like a lot of like trainees and stuff ask to kind of help. So we always ask, just to avoid a bunch of people being here at the same time. We asked the talent to come a bit later on, just so we can kind of whatever. But to her credit, rocked up early.
Love that. And get straight into helping out as well. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what should be happening, to be fair. But, you know,
I love that.
That's one that popped into my head. Also, in fairness, Brendan White is always kind of there. He's always there. He never, very rarely is he. And if he is late, you'll let us know and be like, I'm so sorry, and be like,
yeah,
it's fine. Like, you know, yeah.
He's earned enough to be a little bit late once in a while. Like,
I tell a lie. First person there is Dan Jones because he always comes to me.
Well, there you go. He's got the inside.
I went around the houses once, so I don't ever do that.
He's got the inside track there. Well, I say this segment's called Dishing the Dirt. Most of these questions are quite nice, but this is one of only two that I think will actually get you real heat, depending on who you say. Yeah. Because this one is, who do you think has the worst music taste?
Music taste?
Yeah, like who would put something on, like, music-wise, you're like, oh, I can't stand that. Like, just not your sort of thing music-wise.
I am not really ever in a situation where I listen to other people's music.
Not on the road or anything?
If I'm on the road, it's normally me in the car driving.
Oh, okay.
Or it's Brendan and we have the same music taste.
Oh, well, that's easy then, isn't it? No arguments.
Yeah.
I like that. That's fair enough. Maybe you can,
that's like me being diplomatic. That's a genuine answer.
No, that's fine. Well, if anything, I hope now it helps you, like, find out. Maybe next show you're a little interested. You're like, I wonder what they listen to. And then...
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I've recently been on a Cascada binge.
Nice.
Maybe it's me.
Love it. The next one is, who reckons the funniest? Who's the comedian of the locker room? Who can you always count on to make you laugh?
Unintentionally, Brendan White.
Unintentionally?
Yeah, unintentionally.
What does he do that's that funny?
Everything exists. He's a very, very funny person. He's, like...
But, like, almost effortless.
At the last King's Oak show he did, he got... so, we had a packet of multi-pack Kellogg's backstage, right? I thought it'd be funny to have them for the raffle and say that Brendan White put them in for the raffle.
Love it.
Actually, kayfabe that Brendan White actually did put them in for the raffle. Wasn't my idea. Anyway, but he comes out eating. He's doing, like, he comes out on the mic, right, and he's talking to Danny Luna in the ring, and he's eating Rice Krispies, right? And that was funny in itself, except when he comes backstage and he's watching the show, he's still eating the Rice Krispies.
So he's just doing it. That's just him. He's not even trying to make people laugh. He's just like, I just want some Rice Krispies.
Hey, look, that's what I mean.
Love that.
I want some Rice Krispies, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, credit to that. I love that. That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
And also the put downs he gives to the fans are just another level. The fans love it. Like, you just roast them. That is Brendan White in a nutshell. He will roast you, but you love him for it because it's so funny.
Yeah. Those are the heels that you just, like, can't hate, right? Like, you boo them, but secretly you're like, I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but yeah.
No, quite a talent. The next one is, well, you mentioned the Rice Krispies. Who brings the best food, whether it's their, like, pre-show meal or, like, whoever might bring snacks or whatever? Does anyone just bring really good food to the locker room?
Oh, it's Nina Samuels.
Of course it's Nina Samuels. Everyone says it's Nina Samuels.
Nina Samuels.
Like, literally anywhere Nina Samuels wrestles, I've never heard someone not say it's Nina Samuels.
Yeah, no, hands down, like, the bacon that girl does is, like, next level.
Oh, phenomenal, right? Like, she started selling them. Like, she was selling them at the last, like, Eve show. Maybe not the last one, maybe the one before that. But, like, oh my god, they were incredible.
Yeah.
I finally understood what the hype was about, because everyone says it, and I'd never got the chance to understand what the hype is, but I understand the hype now.
Yeah.
And then she still turns up and wrestles as well. It's just mental. She puts in so much effort. I love it.
Yeah.
Big up Nina.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who... Actually, I'm trying to think now of anyone who's not said Nina, but I think everyone has. This is the other one that will get you a bit of heat, depending on who you say. This is not in the ring now. This is kayfabe. This is not kayfabe now. This is a shoot. This is outside the ring. Who has the worst dress sense?
Me.
Yeah.
I have no dress sense.
I understand that.
My partner dresses me for fuck's sake.
Well, I understand the no dress sense thing because, like, wrestling shirts and band shirts and black jeans have been my aesthetic since I was 15. So, Like, that has not changed for me, so I understand that.
I mean, I'm not being funny, right? It is a joke amongst my mates, right, that I have one pair of jeans, right, and I wear them when we go out because I have to.
Because you got nothing else.
Because they won't let me in joggers or shorts.
I love that.
So it's me. It's me.
Well, at least there's no heat that way there. That's fine. Like, I love that. That's brilliant. But I understand the fact of like having zero dressings, because I very much share that as well. Like, just everyone's always saying like, "Why don't you change your style a bit?" I'm like, nah, it's comfy, innit? But I get that. I love that. The next one, this was on the nicer side of it, so you've not actually had to put heat on anyone, and now you get to compliment someone as well. This is now in the ring. Let's say in a wild hypothetical, you've forgotten your gear for a show, and in this magical world, it's a one-size-fits-all scenario, and you can pick anyone else's gear that you can wear to the ring that night. Whose gear would you want? Whose gear do you look at and you're like, I could pull that off?
On the Chaos roster?
Yeah. You could pull off the rain look easily, right? Couldn't you? That's just that's just a band t-shirt. That's like an Iron Maiden.
It's a band shirt, to be honest. Yeah, maybe rain.
Like put on the shorts as well. Easy.
Yeah. I don't know. Billy A's got decent gear.
Mm.
But, yeah. Prior to the camo, I liked his shorts.
Pre-camo Billy, yeah.
Yeah. Blue Billy.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
That's a good choice as well.
Yeah, I like his gear, yeah.
The camo is a bit Marmite, isn't it? It's a bit like... But yeah,
I'm not saying I don't like it. I would just, if it was up to me, if I had to wear one, I would probably go with the shorts.
No, I like it. Some good choices. The next one is who in the locker room you reckon would throw the best party? Like, again, in a wild hypothetical world, everyone in the Chaos locker room is hosting a party on the same night, and they've all invited you, but you can only pick to go to one. Who's are you picking?
Bloody hell, these questions are coming, mate.
I'd like to give you a bit of a thinker.
I mean, I can only speak from experience, but Flash has started doing summer barbecues.
Nice.
Every year now, and they're always a good laugh. So
yeah, you can't beat a barbecue.
I guess Flash.
Yeah, I mean, if you've experienced it as well and you know it's good already, then that's the one you probably go to anyway, right? Yeah. Like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat a barbecue.
I might change that. I might come back to that randomly.
Yeah. If something else pops into your mind, let me know. Let me know. But we're on to the last one of this little feature here. And it's even weirder than the last one, believe it or not. But it's who on the Chaos roster would you want to be partnered with in the zombie apocalypse? Now, this can be for any reason. You can use them as a barrier. You can use them as like a feed them to the wolves kind of thing. You can use that person however you want in that scenario. But who are you picking, and what would be the thinking behind it?
Right, so there's a couple here now, right? Joe Connor is an interesting one, because he's very smart, very conniving. But he might throw you to the zombies and run away.
Yeah, he might turn. Right? Yeah, he might stab you in the back. Yeah.
Brendan is solid as a person, so I feel like he'd be able to take a few zombies out should you get in a position where you need to. Dan Jones is also like, he got that reach, he's quite long.
Yeah, they don't come too close.
He's a bit of a tough bastard, like, so I reckon he'd have a go. In terms of fodder, maybe James Ellis would be the fodder. Kick him in the leg so he can't run, like, and then leg it,
Yeah, let them circle on him and you can run away.
Yeah. So if that, different tactics. Yeah.
It's all about the tactic, isn't it? That's the thing. It's all like picking any tag team partner, right? It's all about how you're going to work together.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look after number one, right?
Exactly. End of the day, you want to survive, right? It doesn't matter about anyone else.
That's it, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I love it, and I love the rationale behind each choice. I think that's very smart, very savvy.
I don't think I haven't thought about that. You know what I mean?
That's already been thought about.
Yeah, I mean, that's... First thing I think of when I wake up in the morning. Shit, where's the zombies?
Who's it going to be today?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we got another closing feature to end on in a little bit. But before that, I want to go back to talking about Attack. And obviously, again, like working with Flash and Mandrews there. And the fact that obviously coming up, I know it's a little while off at the time of recording, but coming up fairly soon is this Attack Wrestling Riot Cabaret crossover show. Coming up in June. It's Money in the Bank weekend, isn't it? It's Money in the Bank weekend, which is a great time to have a show. Love that. I love that. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But like in terms of, I don't know, in terms of like the inside scoop of like how it all came about, are you like aware of like how all that started?
I know Mark knows the promoters quite well.
Yeah, he's been on a few shows.
Yeah. I've helped at a couple of riots as well. I've done like some backstage stuff. But obviously it's through Mark. I don't know. I just think we just kind of know each other quite well. And then they just said, like, let's collaborate.
No, that's cool because Riot are doing something.
I've been in London for years, so
yeah,
I think it's nice. And Riot are killing it as well. They got a show. Their show is actually tomorrow.
Yeah, at the time of recording, their show's tomorrow. Yeah,
and so they're killing it. Obviously, Attack killing it over this way. So.
And I love that's the thing. I'm really looking.
Just doing together. Let's kill it.
Well, no, I love it because that's the thing, isn't it? Like, just in terms of both shows, both are entertaining, but for like different reasons. They're two very different dynamics of show, and it's going to be really cool as a fan to see how those two sort of blend together into one show.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you say,
very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Very interesting dynamic. There's a lot of people that Riot use that Attack don't. But then there's also people that Riot use that Attack also use.
Yeah.
So there's as much as there's similarities there. There's a complete contrast on it as well. So that'll be a nice little thing to see how different people interact.
Exactly. And then as well, don't you? For the ones who work both shows, then where their true loyalties lie, depending on how they work and things like that. Mm-hmm. Then who to bring back. You got the inside there.
That's it. Yeah.
No, I love that. And what about for yourself in the ring? Obviously, like you keep super busy. You do obviously you've got New Wave Academy as well, and Chaos and Attack and everything you do. I mean, I guess the simple question of what I'm trying to ask is how do you do in my mind I have a shoot job and this job, and that's busy enough for me. That's almost too much for me. How do you do that much?
I feel like I said earlier, training is a prerequisite of wrestling. So you kind of have, in my opinion, you kind of have to, so as much as so Brendan runs a school, right? So if I'm not taking a class, sometimes I will go down there and I'll train. If Brendan's taking a class, I'll jump in there and do some training with Brendan taking the class, with Dan Jones taking the class, Mark Andrews taking the class, Nico taking the class, But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how, it's hard for me to answer how I do it. It's just kind of how, it's just a thing that I believe needs to be done to kind of keep you for me, you have to be able to wrestle, you have to have the respect to put the work in behind the scenes. It's not just turning up to the show and expecting to do it and do it well. It's, okay, well, if I wrestle, if I'm being allowed and trusted to wrestle in front of these many people on these platforms, then I should be putting the work in on the back end of it. So like I said, it's a prerequisite of getting to be able to wrestle, that you put the work in the gym, you put the work in the in the ring.
Yeah. No, and I respect that. I mean, the grind is crazy. We speak to all the rest of us speak to here. The grind you guys put in is mental, and I hugely respect it because again, I couldn't do it myself. Even thinking about the amount of work you guys do makes me tired. So I don't know how you do it, but no, big respect for it. Big respect. And again, you mentioned again with the training, we've spoken about a few people the up and comers, the ones who are really rising now, the Reigns, the Nikos, and people like that. But for anyone who's watching this and maybe doesn't know, who are the next ones, below that, the soon to be up and comers, you reckon that people should be checking out early, before they make it big? Who are those in your mind, from who you've seen, who you've trained with, and things like that?
Right. So, not quite on this end yet, but I'll get to like the younger ones. But Splits and Elijah are on the cusp of really, like, they're fantastic talents, right? They're fantastic talents now. It just takes people to see them in a certain light, and they'll be like, oh, shit me, these guys are fantastic, because they are fantastic now, right? It's just, once they are seen in the right light, by the fans and stuff, that's when it'll click then, right? But it's worth checking those guys out, because they are fantastic. Wherever they go, they're fucking fantastic. Really put the effort in. In terms of the younger talent, James Ellis is one to look out for. Shane Hooker, Kurt Atlas, Alex Vaughan, TJ Walden. That's the couple that come to mind right now, who are like doing some fantastic stuff on new wave shows and like on like other promotions around Wales, and they're really putting the work in. I see them every single week. They are like, when you say about you don't know how they put the work in, how we as wrestlers put the work in, I'm to the point now where I don't know how they can train as often as they do, because I know what it takes. I know how much it hurts, so I know how much they want it, right? But these are the guys who are going to be exploding out of the scene pretty soon. And there's a lot of people, to be fit to Brendan's credit, he sees these talents as well, and he pushes them a lot. Shane Hooker, for example, has debuted. He's going to be wrestling for Wrestle Carnival soon. James Ellis is getting about now. Obviously, he's just started doing stuff at Chaos. And I can't imagine anyone else behind him is going to be too far, right? Yeah. Alex Vaughan, really young boy, but he's got a fantastic mind for it. Some real good movement, real young as well. And that's only the ones who are coming. There's people as well who are kind of not behind them. That's not a way to say it, but like there's other people who are after them too. You know? Yeah,
jostling for those positions. Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? Because you mentioned it like with Splits and Elijah, and the name that springs to mind when you mention like how they need that one break, that one chance, is someone like Leon Slater, who was fantastic, and he got that one chance on Everything Pattern last year, and then just flown from there. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's so much talent out there, so much great talent, that like there's so many names you could be like, they just need that one show, that one chance where like the spotlight gets put on them and they could fly.
100%. That's all it takes. But it's a matter of, from a wrestler's point of view, like you don't know when that's going to when that chance is going to come. So you've just got to always be, always be ready for it.
Yeah.
This is why you just gotta. It's why these boys are training constant, because it's like, well, I need to be seen. I need to be seen. And other names as well. Jay Joshua, Billy Hayes. Who were like Billy Hayes had a fantastic match against Mark Haskins on at Chaos. Yeah. Jay Joshua had a fantastic match with Trent Seven at Chaos a month or two back. So these boys are also on the up.
Yeah. No, both great guys as well. Seen them a lot as well. They are fantastic. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, we got one final feature here on the show. We've talked about you and your like relationship with like the Chaos Locker Room, but now we're going to know a bit more about you. And this isn't about Wild Boar now. This is about you as a shoot. This is about like your personality, like a get to know you kind of thing. And again, it's a bit more quick fire, but I'm going to ask you some questions and you let me know what comes to mind.
All right.
So, what is your favourite post pinfall pig out?
Pizza.
Nice. What'd you get?
Tends to be wherever, I don't know, whatever I kind of fancy. Like after Chaos, for example, on the weekend, I had eaten all day. When I came back, it was like 1:30 a.m. I was like, well, nothing's going to be open now. Domino's ain't going to be open. So I just went on the pizza place that was open, and I think I just had all the meat.
Nice. Is that what you get normally?
Where it was, all the meat.
Is that what you get normally? Like, no matter where you go, is it normally just like meat feast, like load
No, not really. At Domino's, and this is controversial, I've been like in a ham and pineapple.
That is controversial. We have a lot of controversial food opinions on the podcast generally. I feel like it's more of a food podcast generally than a wrestling one. But like, we have a lot of controversial food opinions, but that's a popular one, isn't it?
It is. It is, yeah. And I was one person who was against it until one day I just fancied it, and I had it, and I was like, oh, it's alright.
If you're in the right mood, yeah. I get that.
It's greasy, you know, because it's not a lot of, like, when you have your pepperoni and you have your ham and your sausage or whatever, sometimes it gets, you know, especially with Domino's,
it's a bit heavy.
Greasy.
Yeah.
Greasy and heavy. But obviously your pineapple and your ham is not that heavy, so...
Yeah, the fruit, like, cuts through it, doesn't it? Like, the acidity of it cuts through, like, all the greasiness, which is nice. I get that. It's not my thing, but I understand why people like it. The next... I was just wondering...
It's getting serious when food's involved, doesn't it?
I was looking around if that was mine, like, something going off there. Well, there's one more food question, and it's the traditional, like, what would your, like, death row meal be? What would your last meal be?
I think it would probably be a chicken tikka masala, rice chips, naan bread, and a Biscoff donut.
Nice. I mean, I'm going to say that's the 10 out of 10 order, but you mentioned the ham and pineapple, but chips with a curry is also a controversial one. Like, I know,
controversial? Yeah, I thought that was like a given.
No, I know a lot of people who are like very, I wouldn't call them like food snobs, but very like, you can't get chips with like a curry or an Chinese or something.
That's madness.
That's like sacrilegious to a lot of people I know would see that as sacrilegious.
That's crazy. Snobs.
But I understand it. I understand the mix of the chips and like any sort of curry sauce goes beautifully.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I get it. I'm on your side, just to clarify. But I'm just saying, I know a lot of people who would disagree. We talked about music earlier, and this one is the song that gets you the most hyped.
Oh. So I wouldn't say it's a song. Like hyped to wrestle.
Hyped in any way, if you're in the gym or wherever, like.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't really say it's a song, if I'm honest. I don't really have a specific song. Tends to be like I don't know, like whatever I'm kind of into at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to put.
No, sure, yeah, like certain moods, certain times you'll get like a different song will just hit you a different way.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's fair enough. Well, the next one is about movies, because it's the movie I'd show the locker room. And I always say, like, it doesn't have to be your favourite movie, but the movie you think everyone should see at some point.
Jaws.
Nice, classic. Great film.
I mean, that's my favourite film, so I believe I can watch that at any time. Like, if I'm thinking of, I want to watch something but don't know what to watch, I'll put Jaws on, because I know I'll just watch Jaws because it's my favourite film of all time. No,
I love that. It's a great film. Great choice as well. Yeah. I like that. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's your first job.
First job? I worked behind the bar at a bowls club.
Nice. Now, bowls club, not so classic. The behind the bar thing is a sort of classic first job, but bowls club is intriguing. That's how was that?
Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting, because I'm from like a small town called Blaenau in the Welsh Valleys, and Blaenau, I swear to God, is literally a street, right? It's a street in between two valleys, and which incidentally, there's a lot of people from these small. So Flash Morgan Webster is from a town just up the road. Brendan White is from just up the road. Danny Jones is also from just up the road. So there's a lot of people from a very small kind of area in Wales. But back to that job, my family are very much a bowls family, right?
Oh, okay.
So my grandmother, my granddad, my mum all play bowls.
This could have been a different career and a different life. We could have been talking to Wild Boar, the bowl star.
Not a fucking chance. I mean, like honestly, yeah. So that was it. So that's where I needed a job when I was younger, and my mum was like, "Oh, I can get you a job on the bowls club if you want." And I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, but it was like it was interesting, but because it was all like regulars and everyone who went down there was like I more or less knew them all, or if I didn't know them, they knew me because of my granddad, my nan, my mum. So it was all like, oh, can I get a pint of Foster's? Yeah, they were. Oh, you are, go on, have one yourself.
Nice,
It come to a point where I was like I was making I had my own tally chart behind the bar of how many pints I've had. So the amount of times I would like Flash and Brendan or wherever they'd be at the pub with some of the other boys, and they'd be like, "Oh, you coming out?" And I'd be like, "I'll be out after work," and I go up there
already hammered.
I'm hammered already. Like,
I love that. Perks of the job, isn't it? Perks of the job.
Yeah, so it's alright.
That could have been the life, though. You could have been drinking all the time, been a bowl star. You could have been like there, just necking pints, playing bowls.
Yeah.
Seems like a simple life. I mean,
that is the culture. To be fair, like I swear to God, very few of them actually like the game bowls.
They're just there for the drink. Love it. Love that. The next one gets a little deep because it's my greatest fear.
Fear. Greatest fear.
It doesn't have to be anything like mega deep. Like, you know, if it's like spiders or whatever, then I get that one.
So, like, this is weird, right? I'm just like, the only thing I can think of where I've actively been nervous was swimming in the ocean.
Sure.
Because of Jaws. However, Jaws is my favourite film.
It's conflicting, isn't it?
So it's almost like, I don't know, maybe Jaws is giving me that healthy respect for the ocean and the sharks.
No,
so like, I remember when I was on holiday one time and my granddad like wanted to teach me how to swim in the sea, and I was just shitting it. I was like, this is like not a busy beach right now, and like you making me swim in the sea, like
you're like, I've seen this scenario before, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've watched this. Like,
I know what happens here. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
That's the only thing I can really think of, which was like, I can actively remember being like massively nervous doing it, and I'm still a little bit nervous now. Like, I live in Barry at the minute, and if me and my partner go down the beach or wherever and we're going to sea, I still look. You know what I mean?
Just in case, yeah.
You know, it's Barry. This is Barry, like Barry Island. Right?
I don't know when the last recorded shark attack there was, but I imagine it's been a while.
Yeah, probably.
But it's always good to be cautious. Like you say, healthy respect for the ocean.
Healthy respect. Yeah.
No, I respect that. The next one is my it all goes back to that. It's my favourite animal.
So we have a rabbit.
Nice.
So I think a rabbit. I think rabbits because she's really cool. She has an attitude, and I didn't think rabbits had personalities until we got this rabbit.
I like that.
She's mental.
Yeah.
So yeah, rabbits.
No, I'm the same. I've got a guinea pig, and like, oh, he's so evil. Like, you can see it in his eyes that he's evil, but I didn't think I'd ever see that in a guinea pig. So I understand that. I like that. Rabbits are adorable as well. I like rabbits. I do like rabbits. Yeah. I like that. The next one is it's a wrestling based one. It's my favourite match stipulation. And for this, like, a singles match counts as a stipulation in this question. Like, any kind of wrestling match is a stipulation.
I think that your matches, like your strap matches and your dog collar matches, are like interesting.
Yeah, they're like sort of like brutal in a different way to like a hardcore match or something like that.
Yeah, but like watching wise, I do like a TLC.
You know, all the chaos.
I would go back to like your Hardys, Dudleys, and Ed and Christian, and they like growing up. I remember thinking, "Oh my God, these are mental." So watching wise, potentially TLC, pretty cool. Followed by a dog collar.
Nice.
And a strap.
Those were the matches you grew up watching, and you realised that you didn't want to be a bowl star. That was when you realised you wanted to be a wrestler instead. That's
right. I mean, the dog collar ones came across a little bit later. Yeah. When I was doing with research purposes.
Yeah.
But like the TLC was definitely one growing up where I was like, holy shit, this is mad.
Oh yeah, pure entertainment value is it's chaos, isn't it? Those matches, they're just absolutely wild. No, I love that. There's only a couple left. The next one's my favourite place in the world.
My Favorite place in the world. Whoa.
And it can be as big or small as you like. We've had people say countries or cities, or Scotty Rourke said his bed. So it can literally be anything in between that.
Favorite place. So whenever I go away from Wales, I appreciate Wales.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, like, as much as from where I'm from, Blaenau and the Valleys, right? There's not a lot to do there. When you live there, when I'm staying there for a longer period of time, there's not a lot going on, right? However, when you go there for like a brief time and you kind of go for a walk in the valleys or wherever, like up the mountains and stuff, is a very, very nice place, especially in the sun. In the rain, it's miserable. In the sun, it's a very nice place.
Yeah.
So Wales is potentially my place to say. Just generally Wales, like in the country, like in the valleys of Wales, like the mountains and stuff like that. I think it's a very nice place to be. Very relaxing.
Yeah.
You know, very clean air. You know?
Yeah. Well, I live in London, so I don't know about that. I don't know anything about clean air. Like, what is that?
I know, right? Yeah. What is green? What is this leaf?
Tree? I've never heard of it. No, I love that. That's great. I love that. And the final one on the opposite end of the spectrum is my dream holiday destination.
So I went to Canada. Me and Eddie Dennis went to Canada last year doing some training and seminars and stuff like that. And I loved Canada. I've always wanted to go to Canada, wilderness Canada.
Right, yeah. Like right in the tundra sort of thing.
Yeah. Like places like that, I'd love to go there and just kind of go proper nature Canada.
I imagine that's spectacular, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they really. I'd also love to go to Japan.
Yeah, Japan's the classic. Everyone says Japan. Like everyone we have on the podcast is like, I'd like to go to Japan, but I want it to be like work and a holiday.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're a wrestler, you're going to go to Japan. It's because you want to wrestle there, right?
Yeah.
That's me as well. Like 100%.
No.
But, like the culture of Japan is really interesting to me.
Yeah. It's just so different.
I would like to go and experience that food, all the food and stuff like that. Wherever you go, is 50%. Well, for me actually. We're looking at about 20% because I want to go there and have a look around, and then 80% food. Yeah.
Just is it going to have good food? Yes. All right, let's go.
Yeah. What's it? Is it famous for a piece of food? Yes. Okay. That's
sold right on the plate.
Yeah.
Love it. No, I get that. I respect that as well. I'm very much the same. I'm very much like, okay, I like the food there. Let's do it.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. That's brilliant. We've only got a couple of closing questions here. A relatively new tradition that we started on the podcast is for our last guest to leave a question for our next guest. And you're going to get asked it completely out of context. I'm not going to tell you who asked it, but I can tell you after we've recorded if you want.
Okay.
So this question has been left to you by our last guest. And the question is, if you could be any biscuit, what biscuit would you be and why? Now that's a thinker of a question.
So immediately I have answers.
That's worrying. It's worrying that you have a question so quick, the answer so quickly.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I'll be this, I'll be this. But which is the best one? I mean...
Which is the most wild boar? That's the question. I like how this one's a thinker in a different way. We've had some like really deep questions as part of this. Like really proper deep questions, like what would you change about British wrestling and stuff. But like this one's deep in a different way. This one's a thinker on a whole different level.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Like, so all right, here's the answer. And there's no deep reason for this other than it's because it's mint and I made it myself. Right? So Biscoff, I'm first of all, I fucking love Biscoff. Right? Anything Biscoff, I love it.
Biscoff's a revelation. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Eddie Dennis have this thing, right? Whereas if we go anyway independently of each other and we have a Biscoff treat, we'll take a picture of it,
Nice.
send it straight away, and be like, and just describe what it is, right? Without fail. Like at one point we discussed going in halves to like buy a load of Biscoff stuff when we were like at the NXT UK PC, and we'll just buy it. We get it in, and we'll just make a day of it, and it'll be great. We didn't in the end. We thought better of it. Anyway, you get 2 of your regular Biscoff biscuits, right?
Mm.
You get some Biscoff spread.
Right.
You get a spoonful of that, like a tablespoon. You know, a lot. You know.
Yeah, plenty. Yeah.
You know, not fucking small serving size. Whack it on there, spread it on, and put that between 2 of your Biscoff biscuits.
It's like a Biscoff custard cream almost.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, yeah.
But also, actually, no, I'm going to change it because I just realised what I've also done. 2 double stuffed Oreos.
Right.
Put the Biscoff in the middle.
Oh, that's something. That might need to be tried. I've never even thought of that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, all we're learning from this really is that Biscoff makes everything better.
It does. I mean, it does. It actually does. Yeah.
Biscoff is just the greatest.
I don't know if I've ever that was like must be the highest calorie biscuit ever created. Like a 500 calorie biscuit.
Just blood pressure rising as you eat it.
Yeah. And then dip that in your tea. Fucking hell, you got it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay, I need to try that. Yeah. Like, I'm going to blame you entirely, though. If I put on a bunch of weight just from this, I'm going to blame you entirely. I think it'll be worth it. I think so. Brilliant. Well, Wild Boar, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm glad. We talked a lot.
Questions. Got me thinking now. I'm going to go away thinking of all these questions.
Well, that's the thing. That's what we like to do here on That's what we like to do here on the Grapple Theory podcast. I like to make it a little different. Give you some questions that are a bit weird and random.
It's definitely been different from a lot of interviews I've done.
Well, I appreciate that. That's what we aim to do here. But we always end by giving our guest one final bit of promo time. So, whether it's seeing yourself in the ring, or going to watch a Chaos show or an Attack show, wherever it may be in the country, seeing Wild Boar in the ring wrestling, or seeing, again, one of the shows that you run, why is the Wild Boar going to steal the show?
Why is the Wild Boar going to steal the show?
Yeah.
This is an odd one for a wrestler, right? This is a very odd one. I'm not a real big fan of talking about myself and putting myself over, right? I don't really do that a lot. So, what I'm going to say instead is support British wrestling. Let's get British wrestling back to where it was. I firmly believe that the talent is there for it. And it should be... British wrestling is the best wrestling in the world, right? We have some of the best talent in the world, and everyone should just go and support your local independent wrestling promotion. If you love wrestling, watch wrestling. Like, wherever wrestling it may be. Like, we will benefit from you supporting your local wrestling shows, but if you love wrestling, just watch wrestling. It's fantastic, the best thing in the world. So just watch wrestling, enjoy it. Wherever wrestling you want to enjoy.